Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So as you probably guessed from the title, today we are going to talk how I use Procreate. Procreate is an app specially made for the iPad. So last year I bought an iPad so that I can start doing digital illustrations, and I gotta tell you, it was mind-blowing. My skills, my improvements were amazing since I started doing digital drawings on the iPad, and I absolutely love it. I have the iPad 9.7 inches from 2018. It's an older model. Now it's no longer available because there's a new version of it, and I have the Apple Pencil. Especially for this iPad, you have two Apple Pencils, one for the iPad Pro, and you have this one. I think this one is still available. I'll link everything in the description, from the iPad to the Apple Pencil to the case to everything. I use paper-like matte protection for the screen. When I started, it was very weird because the screen without this protection, it's very slippery, so it was weird to draw in it. It takes a little bit of definition of the screen, but it makes the drawing process a lot more enjoyable, so I really love it. Just wanted to mention that first before getting to the video. And yeah, let's start. Okay, so welcome to my Procreate app. So I don't know if you are familiar with it or not. I'm not going to talk a lot about the basics, and yeah, I'm just going to talk how I use it personally. For the canvas size, as you can see, I have several sizes here already saved, but most of the times I use A4. Even if I'm doing something in an A6, I basically just use the A4 sheet. I don't know if you know that one of the downsides of Procreate is that when you resize things, it loses a lot of the quality. So I basically try to create them in a bigger file and then resize them in Photoshop. So that's why I create them in a bigger file, so that won't happen. Then let's talk about brushes. I have a file over here where you can see my most used brushes. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm just going to mention the ones that I use the most nowadays. That is the Monoline. I use this one normally for creating the outlines of stuff because, as you can see, it's a very straight line and it doesn't have any textures. When you want to feel like a shape, it's a lot easier when you have this Monoline tool, and I also use it for doing the outlines for the stickers, because that way the Silhouette program reads it a lot better. The other one that I use, it's the 6B pencil. As you can see, it has a lot more texture and it's not as smooth as this one, and I really like it for giving outlines as well, and also giving texture to a drawing when I'm filling the block colors. The thing that it's different from my 6B pencil is that I really like to fill large areas with it. This one comes on the iPad, but the definitions of it is that the pencil can get very big. I think it's more or less like this. So what I did to fill larger areas and to paint like this is that, and you can do this in every pencil. Okay, so basically you click on the brush, you go to properties, and then you can basically choose the maximum size you want for this brush. Of course, you'll have limitations, but this is a big difference. I think in the beginning it was probably like this, and if you increase it, now you can fill larger areas. The 6B pencil that I have over here, it's not exactly the same as how it is on the iPad when like the original brush. And the other one that I have, it's the Gouache one. I'm using the PROCREATE brushes. It's the ones that I use the most. You'll just love the texture of the Gouache one, and it has like transparency, and it like you can control the opacity with the strength of your pencil. Look at this texture, it's just so nice. Basically the brushes that I use the most are only these three. Sometimes I use like the Fresco one to give like some textures, like this big thing but in a full drawing. But that's basically it. It's the Monoline, the 6B pencil and the Gouache pencil basically. Okay, so now let's talk about the process. So let's go over here. I normally do the sketch in a black line, and I always use the 6B pencil for the sketch. I normally sketch in a very small area of the canvas, and yeah, let's try it. So, as you can see, this is like the size of the whole canvas, and I just drew it like this. Like, I don't know, I don't like to draw in like a big area, and I always did this, always. So yeah, so normally I do like a fast sketch, and just like I said, when you'll resize this one, this will lose a lot of quality. Then I'll increase it to the size that I want, and you can see the quality lost over here. And then after the fast sketch, I do like a clean sketch in other layer, and I decrease the opacity of the first sketch one, and I do it again, but now in like a more cleaned and nice sketch. Okay, so now the clean sketch is done, and we can delete or hide the layer. So now we'll decrease the opacity in the new sketch layer as well, and we are going to create a new one. And now we are going to do the color block for it. So I'm going to use the Monoline one. And to paint, I always paint on a layer beneath the sketch layer, so that the sketch layer will be visible when you are painting. The color blocking, it's done. I normally do the details with the 6B pencil, so let's go. Now all the color block, it's done. Details are added, and now we are going to start adding shades, being like details and texture and all that kind of stuff. Right now what I do is I put everything on alpha lock as well, so that I'd like when you do the alpha lock, basically what you do is you block the color to what you already have in color. Like this is in alpha lock. If I come here with like a gray, it will only paint where the layer it's already painted. And then I'll just create a new layer, and I want to add shading for like this layer over here where it goes like this. So I do a clipping mask. What that does is the changes that the painting that I'm going to add on this layer, since this one is an alpha lock and this one is a clipping mask, it will only be where the layer is and not on other ones. And then I come here and I put this layer in color burn. So in color burn you can use several colors, but if you use the grayscale, like when you color in white, it gives no changing whatsoever, but when you start to put it like in a gray, a mid gray, or in a black, it will add saturation for the base color. So this is like a blue, and if I have my layer in color burn, and if I select like a middle gray in the grayscale, if I paint in this layer, it will give the blue a more saturated look. So can you see? And with this you can create the shading and the textures, and with this it helps a lot, and it's a lot more faster process, because basically you can be in the same gray and you can go to another color and you don't have to select other color. It will just add saturation to the color of the base layer basically, and you can have the colors that you want, and you can just use gray basically. Yeah, let's do the shading of these ones, of all these layers. So if you want a more saturated tone, you just increase the blackness in the grayscale, and then you'll just have a more saturated look. For more strong shadows, I like to do them in like deep blue or a black. So let's try it out. So we open a new layer again, and you can see that I'm a layer person. I use a lot of layers, and that's the major issue with Procreate and with the iPad as well, is that it has a very small limit of layers you can use. But yeah, that's talk to another day. So we'll just go here, and we can use it like this, or you can set it to multiply. And what we are going to do is that we are going to use the selection tool so that we can have more control of where we put the shadows. And you want this part of the flag to be more in a shadow. We are going to select this part, and then we are going to click on the brush, and we are going to paint it. and as you can see, since we did the selection tool, this will only paint on the parts where you made the selection, so basically you can control it a lot better. Then we click here to exit the selection tool, and this is what happens. Yay! Then basically you can just adjust the opacity for being darker or lighter. And that's basically how I had shadows. You can also add some highlights, and I'm not a big fan of very strong highlights, so I normally put the layer in soft light. I go to white, and then this will create like a little white layer, but very smooth, and I love it because it doesn't give like that much strong effect of lighting, and I love it. This is basically how I use Procreate. I hope this was easy to understand and that you enjoyed this video, because yeah, it's not a very complex process, but I thought you guys might enjoy it to see it and watch me explain everything piece by piece, little by little. So yeah, I hope you like to see my process of this really simple drawing. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more related content to this, I do other videos about art and illustration, and if you want to see some specific tutorials, I also have a Patreon, and I do one tutorial every month over there. I am on Patreon for 4 months now. This is my 4th month, so when you sign up now, you'll get access to everything that I've put there in these 4 months, such as a lot of tutorials and specific things of how I use Procreate and other materials. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something from it. I really hope you enjoy drawing on the iPad and have fun creating digital illustrations, because this is what it's all about. It's having fun. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye! Bye!